Hello, guys, and welcome back to the work. Today, I want to help you develop greater awareness. The thing is, no matter what you're experiencing in your life right now, a certain struggle, a challenge, just wanting to move in a certain direction, you can't cope better. You can't move in a positive path. You can't get more out of your life unless you're aware, fully aware of your current situation. So today I'm going to give you some tools. I'm going to be asking you some questions, some of them probably quite deep, to get you to reflect so you can get a better understanding on yourself, on your struggles, and what you really care the most about. And some of the other things we need to think about so you can move in a positive direction. So today's podcast is all about how you can build this awareness. So often I sit down with men and I ask them, what's going on, what are the challenges? And they can see the tip of the iceberg. They can see the obvious challenges and struggles, but they can't always see and unpeel those layers to fully understand the problem. So today, of course, I can't go into ultra depth because I haven't got the individual, I haven't got you in front of me. This is always going to be person centered depending on who I'm working with. But I feel it's a really important subject. So I'm just going to give you some of the kind of key areas to think about on this landscape of awareness. So, where we're going to start today is we're going to be really thinking hard about understanding what you're struggling with. Okay, we've all got some struggles in life. Some of them might be sort of simpler to solve, and some of them might be more complex. I think when you've dealt with a really tough period and you've really felt like you've been, punched hard, that period of time is going to be hard. You're going to struggle, but also how you recover from that challenge, how you start to move forward again, can also be difficult. It can be things you need to accept, things you need to understand, things you need to be able to let go of before you can actually get clarity on your path forward. So let's always think about that. Let's always think about understanding what you're struggling with. Okay, we're also going to think about your strengths. We're going to think about the stories you're telling yourself because no matter who you are, we all tell ourselves stories about ourselves, about others, about the world, about our situation and context. And the stories we tell ourselves, the narratives we create, we do have control over that. Of course, we don't get to control every thought that pops into our minds, but we can become more aware of these reoccurring stories and ask ourselves, are they helpful or are they unhelpful? I really want to help you get a clear understanding of your values today. So I talk about values a lot. I want to give you some real simple questions to work through so you can get more clarity on what you really care about. We'll talk about emotions, how you can develop a bit better understanding of your emotions, because it's all well and good saying, yeah, develop some emotional intelligence. Emotions are important, etc., etc. But I want to give you some tools. So there'll be some questions, but there'll be some practical things you can do to manage your emotions more effectively. We're going to have a section where we focus a little bit on some awareness of your health and some of the stresses and loads you're currently experiencing. And lastly, we're going to finish off on having some idea on some purpose and some direction in your life as well. But all of this stuff is about awareness and how can you develop a better understanding of yourself, your life, and what you really care the most about. So why does it really matter? Well, you can't change what you can't see. And if I think about the iceberg metaphor from a second ago, we often think about changing to go, oh, we see the tip of the iceberg. I just need to change that. And then I can move forward. Let's think about something like a relationship. We think, okay, I'm having a bad time in my relationship. I just need to change my relationship, be on my own, get a new relationship. And, there could be some truth there. But is that the full problem? Maybe we need to understand the problem in a relationship fully. We need to understand ourselves and our own triggers and our partner's triggers and our values and our partner's values. And understand it a little bit more because we might be reacting and jumping ship too early. Or maybe we're stuck in a relationship that's unhealthy and not serving us, and we haven't spent time to really understand it. We stayed in the relationship because of fear. We don't want to be alone. We don't want to feel lonely. We're worried that we'll be okay if we're single. We're worried if we'll find another person. So that's a key part. But also another key part is just to go, actually, maybe I need to develop more awareness of this relationship and of myself so I can manage it better. I can have a healthier relationship. I can develop more connection. But if you can't see these things, you can't change anything. Now, when we see these things and we unpeel layers within ourselves and our relationships and our struggles, it is uncomfortable, most certainly. And you almost end up finding you take a step back before taking two or three steps forward. But that's what personal development is. That's part of the work, is to see the uncomfortable thing that you've buried, you've pushed into your unconscious, you don't want to look at, to take that breath, to look at it, to work at it, to accept it, and decide what you want to change and how you want to change. Okay, and that's where these questions will be really useful today because you can get the awareness first so you can actually change for the long term. This is really about understanding, guys, isn't it? And so often I'll sit men down and help them navigate their struggles and their challenges and their hardships. And what I want to do, I want to be able to understand them, the person that I'm working with, to help them understand their struggles. Because very often we do just deal with things very surface level as men. So we have to really be brave enough to go a little bit deeper. And that's my job, is to help them go a little bit deeper, to do some of this deeper work so they can finally move forward. And if you don't do this work, I guarantee what will happen is the same cycles, the same mistakes, the same issues will keep arising again and again and again. Okay, let's stick to the relationship example. You'll get in that new relationship and go, oh, yeah, this is good. This is different. This is going to be great. And it will start off that way because it's new, it's novel, it's exciting. But then you realize, oh, I'm having the same challenges here that I did in my previous relationship. And that's because everywhere you go, there you are. You have to be able to work on your own stuff, your own issues, your own baggage. You can't control other people, and there'll be good people for you and probably the wrong people for you, and vice versa. But you can work on yourself. If you work on yourself, you become the better person or a better person in your relationship. And then that relationship has the opportunity to flourish. But of course, it takes two. So, some questions. There's going to be a few today. If you're watching this presentation, actually watching it and seeing it, you will be able to read these questions for yourself. If you're listening to the podcast, you'll need to take some notes. Often as men, we identify ourselves in certain kind of ways, and often it's dictated by the roles we do, the work we do. So I am a personal trainer. I am a health coach. I am a doctor. I am an accountant. I am a plumber. Great. Well, that's your job. Great. But you're more than that. Your identity is multifaceted. Like, who are you as a person? How would you describe yourself? What an amazing thing to look at. Who are you? How would you describe yourself? If someone says, look, describe who you are. We never do that. And if we meet people for the first time, we just put a label on ourselves because it's easy. It fits in with the social norms. I am this. Well, no, that's your job title. Great. And that might be a part of your life and a part of your identity, but that's not all you are. You've got so many other parts to you as a person, as a man. If you're struggling with this, maybe look at your actions and behaviors. What does that tell you about the person you are? Are you quite supportive? Can you be quite strong at helping people if they're struggling to solve problems and come up with solutions? As a father, as a partner, you might have loads of different roles, and I want you to be able to understand yourself a little bit more. and understand who you are. And you're not going to answer that all comprehensively straight away, but at least start to ask that question, at least start to observe yourself from the outside, sort of looking in and go, what do my daily behaviors tell me about myself? Ah, I'm pretty focused. I'm pretty disciplined. And this next question will help you. What do I truly care about? And I'll go on and talk about how you can navigate and understand your values in a second. But that could be really good, couldn't it? You could be like, well, I'm this type of person that I love. For me, I love health and fitness, and I'm a father. I enjoy spending time with my daughter, and I care about my romantic relationship with my girlfriend. I invest time in that. I invest time in personal development. I'm learning. I'm studying. I love having deep conversations. I love connection. I love spending time on my own also to be more mindful and present and calm, etc., etc., etc. So by me knowing myself, my values, and looking at my actions and behaviors, I get a better comprehensive picture on who I am, awareness of self. So I'm not as blind. And the next element there is, what are your strengths? And if you're struggling there, a great question is, what strengths have I previously shown or are currently showing? Because you've probably been stronger than what you realize right now. Maybe you're able to cope with some difficult times at work or some difficult times within family. Also, maybe you're struggling. And the next question is, where are you currently struggling? There'll be some things you're great at, and you go, well, yeah, well, I'm great there. I'm great at this thing, and I care about that, and I value that, and I put energy and focus in that. But I'm still struggling over here. So I'm great at work. I'm focused at work. I'm respected at work. I'm a good leader. But actually, I'm really struggling with my health right now. I've really let that go a little bit. I'm struggling with drinking or managing stress or being present and mindful, struggling with feeling overwhelmed, etc., etc. So you have to be able to get the full picture here. And lastly, with your self-awareness, what's the stories that you keep telling yourself that are preventing you from moving forward? We all have certain stories, like I could say to myself, I'm just not that intelligent, I'm dyslexic, so I can't learn as well, I'm going to be a bit slow. Should I do this course? I could do, but I'm going to struggle with it. I could have all these limiting beliefs if I create a unhelpful identity about who I am. Yes, I can acknowledge that I struggle with certain things because I'm dyslexic, but it doesn't need to hold me back. I can just develop different skills and different strategies and different ways of learning so it doesn't hold me back. But that could easily become my identity. I'm dyslexic, I struggle. That means that I'm just not going to be good enough. I won't be able to go down that path. And these could be stories that I tell myself, and they probably have been stories in the past that I've told myself in different shapes or forms. We just aren't often aware of the stories. We all tell ourselves stories about our life, about how we think about our lives. Oh, it's not good, it's bad. Acknowledge the difficulties, acknowledge the struggles, acknowledge the some of the weaknesses that you have, but also acknowledge your strengths, acknowledge your values, acknowledge who you are beyond just one role. So these questions will really help you. So for those of you not watching, if you're just listening, question one was, who am I beyond my roles? Next was, what do I truly care about? That's about your values that I'll help you with in a second. Next was, what strengths have I previously shown or are currently showing? Next was, where am I currently struggling? Now look at those. There could be some really obvious things. Now you might be going through a relationship breakdown or a divorce, or really struggling with your health, physical, mental, struggling to manage your anger, your temper, struggling with stress and overwhelm, sleep. The list goes on, but acknowledge that. Fully acknowledge that I am struggling here. Okay. Then you can't change that before you really know. You just surface level. Oh, I can't know I'm struggling, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to look at it. But when you look at it fully. I'm struggling here. That's okay. We all struggle in different shapes and forms, and people who don't are either never challenging themselves at all and they just want to stay in the most comfortable zone ever. There's no growth, there's no development, there's no reaching of full potential, there's no optimal function. But if you challenge yourself, also life will just throw stuff at you, if I'm honest as well. Even if you want to try and protect yourself and stay away from challenges, life will have its way of throwing something at you. So is it something that's happened to you or just your situation that you've put yourself in that you're struggling with? That's okay. There's still ways to move forward even though you're struggling. And lastly, what's the story? What's the story I keep telling myself that's preventing me from moving forward? Okay, if we dig deep enough, very often we have these stories. And there might be some things you might be great at, your career, those narratives aren't holding you back, but in your relationships, they might do. That could be with friendships, it could be romantic, it could be with your kids. You tell yourself, oh, example, don't have enough time. I've got to focus on work. I've got to focus on work. I've got to focus on work. And that's preventing you from moving forward with your partner, your girlfriend or your wife, or preventing you developing more connection and time with your children because of the story you're telling yourself. And we're great as human beings. We convince ourselves that these stories are fact. I can't do this. I can't spend more time here. And we've got to catch that and go, that's not the truth. We can all reprioritize our time. We can all change. We can all decide to prioritize values in different ways. And if you want to or not, is down to you. There's no right or wrong answer. But I encourage all of my clients, everyone I work with, to at least ask the question, develop the awareness, sit with that, and then make a clear decision on where you want to place your energy and focus. If you want more clarity, these questions will help you. These questions are values questions. There's not many of them. I've kept them nice and concise so you can understand yourself so much better. So, question one, how would I like the people I care about to describe me? The key thing there is care about. Because there are plenty of people who you don't know, who sometimes we can care about what people we don't know think. Doesn't matter. People are going to come up with their own perspectives and opinions, especially when they don't know us that well. And those opinions are incredibly surface level, based upon all of their stuff and all of their baggage and beliefs and perceptions. And they're going to see the surface level of us, the tip of the iceberg, and come up with their own conclusions on who we are. And that's what we do as humans. We judge, we assess. But how about the people that are most meaningful to you? Friends, family, loved ones, partner, kids. How would you like them to describe the person you are? Think about that. And then, are you being that person? And how? How are you being that person? I would like my friends to describe me as a good listener. Right, well, I need to be less reactive. I need to be more self-aware. I need to be calmer when I feel triggered. Can I sit with some of those uncomfortable emotions and develop the ability not just to sit still, to actually actively listen and understand others? Whew, that is tough. And that is a journey to go on. But if I want to work on that skill, I need to have awareness first of all, and then intent second. Next question. The first part of this, the slide before, was me asking you, okay, what strengths have you currently got? Look at your life, look at your previous struggles. What strengths have helped you overcome those? And what strengths are helping you cope now? This question is, what personal strengths would you like to develop? Okay, there's certain things that you want to work even more on. Maybe it's currently a strength, but you want to make it a super strength, a superpower. Or maybe you're going, got a few flaws, a few weaknesses, and I really would like to develop those areas. They might be more practical skills, they could be mental, emotional stuff. Often when we think about strengths, we do tend to go more down the practical path. And I get it. But really, if we think about what we want out of life, we want to be able to be happy and be create more peace and calm and connection. Well, those things involve certain characteristics and skills that we need to develop. I can't just develop connection with someone if I don't develop connection with myself and develop my self-awareness ability to understand my triggers and my baggage. Okay, so we've got to work on ourselves if we wanted to build healthy relationships. So that could be a strength to try and go, okay, I need to be a bit more self-aware here. I'm constantly getting triggered, constantly flying off the handle. I'm struggling with my kids, I'm struggling with my partner, I'm struggling with work colleagues. Okay, I need to work on these things. Maybe you need some coaching. Maybe you need to read some books. Maybe you need to spend more time on your own to be a bit more introspective. Maybe you need to do some meditation. They're all strengths. We just don't often think about them because they seem a bit fluffy. They don't seem as tangible. But actually, I see these things as incredibly valuable. I see these things as doing the work. I see these things as creating a kind of strong man because a strong man can work on the inside, not just on the outside. We judge the strength of a man, don't we, from what they look like they can do on the outside, even how they look physically. And I'm not saying that's irrelevant, not at all. But the real hard work that takes a lot of strength is the inner work. Okay. And the first level of inner work is some awareness. So by you listening to this podcast, by you answering these questions and thinking about this stuff, that is you doing the inner work. This is all inner work. Okay, simple question, this next one. What do I spend my time and money on? Just tell you a little bit about what you care about and what you value. Okay, so for me, I might invest a lot of money in my health. It might be through getting blood tests. That might be through, supplementation, food, nutrition, etc. There's a decent amount of money that goes into that for me, but that's a real worthwhile investment because I really value my health. And if I wasn't investing money into it and time, energy, and focus, and I'll say to you, yeah, I value my health, you'd be like, okay, James, you're saying that, but how much energy, focus, time, and money do you invest in your health? Now, sometimes we're just really massively out of line and they are values to us. We just have got so pulled off track and we haven't developed the awareness. We don't realize how lost we are. And sometimes we're guilty of a bit of bullshit. And we say we value something, but really we don't. We say we value it because we think we should value it, whether that's because of our social environment, culture, how you've been brought up, the messages you picked up from the media. You've decided, I should value this. I should care about this stuff. So I'll say that I do. But really, when we look at how you spend your time and money, you don't care about it. Well, let it go then, because there's many things in life that you'll start to think you should care about, start caring about that aren't actually that important. And you get to 90 years old and go, that was a waste of energy and focus and time. A lot of people will say, family, kids, partner, okay. And it's not just, I'm not saying you just need to spend loads of money to value something. It's just an interesting observation to say, where do you currently spend your money? It's not everything. You need all these questions together. It's just another bit of information. Next one, what inspires you, excites you, and interests you? That might be some things that you value. It's another bit of interesting information. Anyone who knows me knows that I value and care about and love psychology and personal development and personal growth. I do this podcast for free because I love it and I love helping people. I love educating people. I love giving as much support as I can. So I know that because I listen to myself. I listen to the energy that I have when I'm communicating, when I'm teaching, when I'm educating people. I know that inspires me, it excites me, and it interests me. So I'm going to continue putting my time, energy, and focus into psychology, learning about counseling skills, learning about life coaching, learning about personal development, learning about people, and learning about myself. Next, if I stripped away all of my social pressures and obligations, what would I do? Wow. Imagine that. You take away all of those social pressures, those things that you think you should do, all those obligations that you need to do. We need to work and earn a certain amount of money. I get it. Imagine if you didn't have to do that. What would you do with your time? It's great. We learn so much about ourselves when we strip things away, when we take away the distractions, we take away those pressures. We learn to be with ourselves. Where are you drawn to? So again, I mentioned before, but on holiday, sat down, there was no social pressures, there's no obligations when I was on holiday. I could do what I want when I wanted. It's incredibly freeing. And I went to the gym because I love training. I went to the beach, did some relaxing, but I did a lot of reading, a lot of reading. And again, it was all non-fiction stuff around psychology and mindfulness and the mind and personal development because I love that stuff. That's what I want to be doing. So again, I just use that to reconfirm what I value and care about. So when I go back into the real world with my obligations, with obviously pressures and needs to earn, so the need to earn money that we all do, and be a parent, all those obligations and pressures we have. How about if I, what's going on outside of that? And outside of that is James and his values and what he cares about. Lastly, where are these values showing up or missing in your life today? So think about that right now. There are so many more questions we can ask with values, but just think about that. Where are these values showing up for you? You go, oh, right, you know what? I know that I care about health because I'm going out running tonight and I'm going to the gym in a couple of days' time. I know that I really, I'm putting the energy and focus and attention to my partner because we have a date night or we go on walks together and we value our connection and our conversations and we work on that. Time with your kids, work tasks or projects, whatever. What is your current life showing you and telling you? But also, what's missing? Yeah, there can often be things that are missing. And maybe you're honest with yourself and think, yeah, I really do value connection. I feel great having a deep conversation and just connecting and understanding others and taking things away from the surface level. Okay, is that something that you're missing in your life? And when I go for these questions, now I have done over the years, I check in with how I'm feeling about my relationships, about my health, about my career, about my life. And often I find I just need to kind of reassess and just tweak a few things often. Because I've been working on this stuff for quite a few years, it's more just a bit of a tweak to go, I've just been slightly pulled off track there, slightly distracted, just need a bit more intent, a bit more focus, a bit more mindfulness, a bit more presence in the area. Because that was missing might even be too much of a strong word for some of you. It might just be like, the area's just got a bit diluted. I needed to reconnect with that. It's something I really try and do with my daughter is try my best to be mindful and present. But I'm human, I can get distracted and drawn down a different path. And when she's about, I'm like, no, James, stop, focus on her, be present. What is, do you think she's feeling? What is she going through emotionally? What is she struggling with? What's making her happy? What's making her have excitement and fun in her life? Like that takes quite a lot of thought, takes quite a lot of awareness. And of course, we pick up things as parents, but if I can just engage a little bit more with her, I get more back. I get to understand her more. It makes me a better parent and it allows her to have a better experience as she grows up. You can apply it to any area of her life. You can find yourself just going for the motions of exercise. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you might go, I want a bit more. I'm feeling a bit flat, a little bit lost, a little bit demotivated. If I set myself a goal in the gym or a target to hit with running, great. Okay, like the running was there, but now it's extra focused. Now I've got that extra determination and goal to hit. Maybe that was missing. Maybe you're missing direction and a goal. If you are, you think you're missing that purpose and direction, then this podcast, I'm going to really help you understand that a little bit more. I can rarely do anything on personal development, understanding yourself without emotions. Not going to go too deep, but let's understand that you have to be aware on how you're feeling. It's how you understand your values. It's how you understand where you're at. It's how you understand your struggles. You know you're struggling because there's an emotional response. If you were just zero emotion, you wouldn't know what you're finding hard, what you're struggling with. You also wouldn't know what brings joy and satisfaction and excitement. You wouldn't know any of that if it wasn't for your emotions. Your emotions allow you to experience the world. They're a really important sense. Now, They are primal mechanisms, and at the core, they're just to help you to reproduce and survive. That is really their role. So it's easy to look at them and go, they're good, they're bad, they're positive or negative. And I know if you look at some of the emotional literature scientifically, they do tend to group them as positive or negative emotions. It's just how they do it. As a coach, I tend to think of it as okay, there'll be these emotions that feel a little bit better and these emotions that feel a little bit more uncomfortable. And that's fine. We want a spectrum of emotions. Hopefully, we just get to experience the positive ones in slightly higher ratio than the unhelpful, difficult ones. Okay. But it's just feedback. It's just feedback. It allows you to develop an understanding of yourself. Okay. And maybe some of your triggers, some things you're struggling with. Now, as men, we do a great job often at shutting our emotions down. And there's certain moments when I get it, you need to suppress, you need to crack on and get a task done, especially at work. It could be a business meeting, whatever. I get it. There could be stuff going on in your personal life. You're struggling with it a little bit. Shut it down. But what we tend to do a really good job of is we keep shutting it down over and over and over again. We don't realize is that constant suppression is very stressful on our bodies, on our minds, on our emotional system. It's another stress, it's another load. So to be able to understand our emotions, which I'm going to help you with in a second, allows you to kind of open up, make a bit of room, and actually in this kind of real crazy paradox, actually allow you to let the emotion go and not be driven and dictated by them because you can acknowledge and work through some of these difficult emotions. Now, easy, positive ones, they're a little bit easier to work through, aren't they? The harder ones, some sadness, some regret. We're pretty good at anger. Generally, as men, we're pretty good at anger. Not all of us, some of us suppress anger as well. But generally, we might find that a little bit more socially acceptable just because of how we've picked up this from our childhoods and our environments. But again, potentially not because we've all had different childhoods here. I don't want to put every man into the same category here. And the deeper ones, there can be surface level ones that could be anger, and actually beneath that, it's because you're sad or you're scared or you're worried. Or maybe beneath that, actually, there's some guilt, maybe there's even some shame. These are all normal. Like if we dig deep enough, we're all gonna have a sense of guilt about something that's happened in our past, and to be able to work through that. We might even feel a little bit of shame about ways that we are because we feel a little bit different. We think others would judge us if they were to know this thing about ourselves. So we hide it away because deep down we feel a bit of shame. But then we carry it and we carry the next thing and we carry the next thing. And these burdens, bit by bit by bit, start to weigh us down and create a lot more stress and a lot more exhaustion on your body and your mind. Okay, so the key thing here with emotions is the more awareness you have, the less control they have over you. Now, as I said, this seems like it's kind of a bit of a crazy one to understand because at face value, you'd think if I open up to emotion, it's going to have more control over me. Not doesn't work like that because actually, if you make space for it and you accept it and you can learn to feel it and let it go, then it hasn't got control. It's where we just go, no, don't feel that, but we react to it anyway because there's only so long you can suppress. Okay, I want you to become less reactive and more in control, not just with your emotions, but also what's connected to your emotions is your behaviors. So many men I work with are stuck in the same negative loops with unhelpful behaviors, and they will say the same thing to me. I just need to get a grip, just need to make crack on, get it done. That will make a difference. And they're saying this for years and years and years, and what they don't realize at the core, it's an emotional issue, not a logical, intellectual issue. You can manage them better, you can reduce stress, you can develop more calmness, you can have more helpful behaviors and better relationships. So here's how I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you some questions again Apologize, there's a few questions today, so you might think about working this podcast into little chunks. But without questions, guys, you can't really move forward. Like my job as a coach often is, of course, to educate, is to help, is to guide. But part of that guiding, part of that education is to ask questions. We have to ask good quality questions of ourselves. And often we don't know where to start. That's where I can help you. So, to get greater awareness of your emotions, think about this. What things are currently making you angry or sad or frustrated or resentful? And they're all different emotions there. I've just kind of lumped all the difficult or a few difficult ones into one question, which is a bit cruel, but to make it simple today, really. I mentioned some other ones, could be some guilt, could be some shame. There'll be things currently in your life that are pissing you off, that are frustrating you. There could be some things that has happened to you previously that actually do make you feel sad, or a bit bloody resentful of that person, or you feel a bit guilty or a bit of shame. That's all okay, all fine. But if you don't acknowledge it, it is still with you. Okay, it is still with you. Let's go on the other sense of the other side of the scale here. What things are currently making you feel a sense of joy or excitement or even peace or calm or happiness? What things in your life bring you that? Now, for me, I get a lot of excitement from work, and sometimes in certain social environments and time with my daughter, lots of joy and laughter, but also time on my own, being more mindful, being more present. So meditation can help bring some peace and calm to me. And then maybe we can start to think about, okay, some of the things that tend to be your triggers. What are the things that trigger you the most? Okay, which really links into the first question, but I wanted to kind of highlight it more. What are those recurring things? Oh, when I'm like that, that triggers me. Great. Well, you're not bad for being triggered. Okay. It's not wrong to have a trigger. We all have, most of us have some sort of wounds from our past, from childhood, from previous relationships, from previous experiences. And that can be based on some insecurities, again, feelings of guilt and shame, bad relationships with caregivers and parents, etc. So that's okay. But can we at least have the emotional awareness and intelligence to know some of those things? And you learn that by going, finding I'm getting triggered by this. The best person to help you out with this is your partner, because they are close to you where they're going to bring up stuff in you. Because you spend a lot of time with your partner, they're going to bring up stuff in you, and you're going to bring up stuff in them. That's an opportunity for you both to grow. Or you just both suppress it and don't talk about it and just push it under the carpet. But I can tell you through personal experience, professionally and personally, that doesn't go down too well long term. Are you able to express how you're feeling at the right time with the right person? So, can you think about a moment where you did express what you were feeling? You were able to go, that does piss me off. I feel quite angry about that. Great, level one, just be aware of that. And then maybe you might go level two. Actually, I'm saying that, but beneath that, I'm actually a bit worried. I'm a bit concerned. I'm a bit scared, actually. That's okay. Great, that's fine. With the person that you trust, with someone really you feel like you can be open and vulnerable with. That's not every single person. I think there's different layers to vulnerability as well. And opening up as a man is incredibly difficult. But to have that right person at the right time is a game changer. Maybe you could ask yourself this: how do my parents or caregivers deal with my emotions? What a question. Because then you start to get this greater emotional understanding on what's influenced the way that you are today. Because we can carry some guilt about who we are, what we've done, what we haven't done. And I do 100% believe we need to take responsibility and ownership for our reactions and behaviors as adults. Definitely. But to have some understanding of them allows us to also put some compassion into this equation, because you didn't have a choice over your parents. You didn't have a choice how you were brought up. That was 100% out of your control. But you would have picked up messages, directly, often indirectly, about emotional language, about how do you really manage emotions? Should you just suppress them? If you get upset, do your parents say, stop getting sad, don't worry about it, just crack on, don't cry? Or did they make room for you to express your emotions without you feeling guilty, without you feeling shame? And maybe also, how did your parents deal with their own emotions? Because that would tell you a lot as well, because they would have their own emotional struggles, and that very likely would have rubbed off on you. Lastly, great question to finish off on here. Can I experience my emotions without being controlled by them? Wow. And that goes on to what I was saying earlier. Can you have the ability to make room for an emotion, the ability to be with it, accept it, and not be dictated and controlled by it? So you can feel it inside you. That's okay. It's okay to think that person's pissing you off or frustrating you. But how do you respond to that? And if you can see it and you can catch it and you can be aware of it, it's less likely you for you to be controlled by those emotions. Okay, and that's what I want from people. I want my clients to live the best life possible. And also, let's finish off this whole thing with a bit of compassion and a bit of realism as well. Like, we're all going to struggle with this stuff, me included. We're not all going to respond in the right way, me included. But the way that I look at it, can I respond in a more helpful way more often now than I did 5 or 10 years ago? The answer is definitely yes. Can I be a bit calmer? Can I be a bit more self-aware? Can I be a bit more emotionally aware? Great. Well, then I'm moving forward. And hopefully in 10 years' time, I'll do a better job than I do now. Because I see the power of this. I see the impact it has on my physical, mental, and emotional health. I see the impact it has on me as a coach, as a partner, and as a parent. It impacts my decisions, it impacts my well-being, it impacts every area of my life. So why not put the energy and focus into getting better with managing and coping with emotions? Okay, so let's summarize it. Can you catch the emotion maybe in the moment, or maybe you need to use hindsight? So you might go, I'm aware in the moment that I'm struggling. Great. At first, you might need to just to look back and go, yesterday I didn't respond that well when my partner said that. That's okay. Don't always respond perfectly, but I reckon next time I could do a little bit better. Fantastic. Okay, so understand what's triggered it. Is it the situation? Is it the person? Is it a recurring thought? Were you just feeling very drained or flat or tired? Because I tell you what, it's a lot harder to manage your emotions then. Or was it more to do with the past? I said about wounds. Like, was it a previous relationship? Something happened, and actually, your current relationship started to remind you subconsciously of a previous difficult event, a previous wound, a previous pain. And what happened? This current event reminded your nervous system, reminded your unconscious of this previous event. So you reacted. And that's because that wound sat with you. So your reactions are opportunities to understand your wounds. Okay. And maybe there's a combination of all that. Bits of the past, you're a bit run down, you were stuck in kind of negative thoughts. That person in the moment, they didn't handle it very well, and you're just in a stressful situation. So have some understanding, but have some compassion as well. What are some of the tools that we can use? Well, the questions that I've already gone through with you are some of the best tools just to give yourself a chance to talk. You might come out a little bit all over the shop just to talk and try your best to explain what you're feeling. Can you write it down, journal? Could you be talking to actual, professional as well as a partner? Maybe some mindfulness. I spoke about mindfulness previously in the podcast, just some consciousness and full awareness and full engagement in the present moment, something in the here and now that isn't thinking about the future or the past or the next thing. You're just engaged with that one thing in the present moment. Could you be fully engaged with fun activities with loved ones and friends? Great way to manage your emotions is just to create a bit more goodness. You still might have those difficult emotions that you need to understand and go back to, but create a life with more good stuff in it, and you're probably going to feel better as well. And maybe don't forget about the foundational things. Exercise, eat well, sleep, try and connect with people, make room to breathe when you feel stressed. And that can work wonders. And maybe finally in this section, ask yourself this: how does the best version of me respond now? How does the best version of me respond now? Okay, so as we're getting towards, let's go back end of the podcast. I want you to have some awareness of your health as well. Okay, I allude to health in a lot of my podcasts. I just have in the previous section as well, guys. Okay, your health is the foundation to everything. If you're watching this on screen, you'll see I was going to move my picture to one side, but what you're going to get is a better idea on what is causing some of the loads and some of the stresses in your life. And that's what this analogy of the coffee cup does. Okay. So what we're going to see here is a picture of a coffee cup, which represents your body. Okay. It represents your body. And all of the loads and stresses is the liquid and the coffee in the cup. Okay. And that might be stresses, physical, injury, health issues, sleep issues, constant catastrophization, poor diet. It's all loads. And they create more stress and your cup starts to overspill. And then you can get chronic pain, we can get exaggerated emotional responses, relationship breakdown, just your whole system starts to become overloaded with all of the chronic stresses and loads placed upon it. So what we do is we get a bit of awareness. There's subjective assessments here and there's objective assessments. I'm not going to go into too much detail here today. This will be a subject I will go into in more detail in the future. Just check in with yourself, guys. How are you feeling? How are you coping? How are you responding? How are you getting through life at the moment? Can you spot some of the early warning signs? So when you start to fall into negative, unhelpful coping strategies, maybe you're scrolling your phone more than normal. Maybe you're finding you're eating more crap food than normal. You know it's like when you feel a bit stressed, a bit overwhelmed. You might be a bit more snappy. Your brain might struggle to concentrate. You might not have as much energy. Your training performance might suffer. You might find you constantly feeling distracted. Those are little early warning signs that your system as a whole is starting to struggle. And when do you feel at your best? When things aren't as overwhelming, the coffee cup isn't quite as full. You feel a little bit calmer, a little bit lighter. You're able to make more logical decisions. Your relationships are better. Your communication is better. Your brain is sharper. Your health feels better. Oh, your heart rate goes down. Everything starts to improve. So this is so important. Have some awareness on all of the loads that you're experiencing right now. Have some compassion for yourself with those. Acknowledge those. You're not weak for feeling stress and feeling pressure, feeling like things are getting a little bit much. But if you can work on your health, you can work on your mindset, your mental fitness, you can build a bigger cup. If you can build some boundaries and try and take some things out of your cup, brilliant. Okay, and this is a massive subject, but I want to encourage you today, as part of your self-awareness, check in with your health. Just generally subjectively, how are you feeling? And of course, now all the watches now and devices, you can gather more objective metrics. Often with clients, I might get them to objectively measure their sleep or the resting heart rate or their blood pressure or their heart rate variability, whatever it is, just so I can get some other more specific objective metrics around their health and how their body is coping with the current loads and stresses they are experiencing. We are all individual here. We all have different tolerance levels due to our genetics, due to our previous experiences, and due to our current set of circumstances. So think about what's in your coffee cup. Think about the loads you're experiencing. Catch those coping mechanisms early and start to do something about it. Maybe you need to start taking a step back. Maybe you need to work on bringing more calm and mindfulness into your life. But you'll need to change something Otherwise, the cup will overspill. When that happens, we increase the chance of disease, illness, and just things in your life starting to crumble a little bit. So, as we're getting towards the end, I want you to think about last thing. This is such an important bit for me to finish off today. Such an important bit. Let's have some awareness on some direction and purpose. Now, people can put so much pressure, that has so much clarity on where they're going and why they're going. It's a constant refining process. It's a constant bit of awareness. But I often encourage clients to have a little bit of awareness. And I'm just going to move in this path at the moment. I really care about my health and I've got drifted off track. I'm going to move with a bit more purpose and focus in this area. Could be to do with career, could be to do with relationships. But we all need some sort of direction, a place to move towards, and a reason to do that. Otherwise, we start to drift. And when we start to drift, we start to get a little bit bored, a bit complacent, a bit lethargic, and we really start to struggle. Okay, and I believe we can develop this place of having direction and purpose and clarity and still find calmness as well and peace. Some people, their direction and they're running, they're saying to themselves, I'm not going to be happy until I get to this actual destination. I haven't used the word destination. I haven't even used the word goal. I don't think those words are bad, but I love direction and purpose. Just, I'm going to move in this direction. I'm going to acknowledge the things that are great about my life. I'm going to find peace and calm and happiness, even though things aren't perfect, even though there's things that I would change, even though I feel like there are certain things missing right now and things that need tweaking. Doesn't mean my life's bad. Doesn't mean that I'm bad. It means that I'm just experiencing life. And life is never perfect. You never get a perfect deck of cards. There's always things that you'll find that you're struggling with. Whether you're 20 or 90, there's always be something. And that's okay. That's fine. It's how we manage the something, how you manage the difficulties rather than waiting for set circumstances when they're all gone. Now, there'll be times in your life where it's going to feel like there's a shitload of difficulties. There are times when things might seem a bit smoother. But life won't stay smooth forever and it won't stay really top end difficult forever. There'll probably be some real smooth bits, some really difficult bits, and on average, it's probably somewhere in the middle. That's a part of life. But I suppose what I care about with you and my clients is how do you feel about your life right now? Okay, are you being overcritical? Are you, really looking at things glass half empty, quite negatively, quite pessimistically? Or are you just being like, oh, it's all fluffy, it's all great, it's all amazing, my life's just so good? I like to try and find the middle ground. I like to encourage my clients to find the middle ground. And that means going, I love these things in my life. I love these things that I've achieved. I love these experiences. I can find meaning in my life now and previously. But there's been some painful things that have happened to me. And I've learned from those painful things. And there's some things in my life right now that also cause some upset, cause some sadness and some difficult challenges. And that's okay. I can still have a good life with those things. And the crazy thing is about hardship and pain, if we can use them in the right way, sometimes they can actually help us have a better life. Okay. But understand, is there something that you would change within your control? Maybe it's some of the behaviours that need tweaking. Maybe it is a direction that you weren't clear on. And now you're thinking, actually, I really would change. I want to be in a healthy relationship. And I need to change how I am in this current relationship. Or I need to admit that this relationship isn't working. Or I'm single and I really do want to have someone in my life. Or I want to change my financial situation. I want to have a bit more money. Okay, that means more focus in career. What trade-offs am I willing to make there? Why am I driving for more money? Understand that. Understand what you miss, what you find, what you think's missing. Why? Okay. Is it missing because actually you've been really self-aware and you've gone, I'm missing connection with my children, my partner. Or actually, yeah, I'm just missing that Lamborghini. I just need that Lamborghini and I'll be sorted. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have the Lamborghini, but often you'll find you get the Lamborghini, you'll find that gets you nice and excited for happy for a while, and then you go back to your normal place. It's generally how happiness works. Next one, then. This will really help you get a bit of clarity on some direction here. If you met a good friend 1 year from now, what would you like to be celebrating? If you met a good friend a year from now, what would you like to be celebrating? Wow, what a great thing to be thinking about. And I've got people that I work with, and they just want to feel like they're a bit healthier. And I'll go, okay, great. Let's be more specific. What does that look like? Well, I'd like to be a stone lighter. I'd like to be able to, run 5K, whatever. Okay, let's be specific. If you're too general with that, you are you're not creating any accountability for yourself. Okay, so be specific, and a year from now, I'd like to be celebrating having completed this course or having invested more time here. And of course, you can't always be guaranteed on a specific outcome. Again, I did talk about a weight loss goal. Maybe that's useful with those types of goals. Sometimes we can be so specific. We've talked about it in a way that's out of our control. So I don't know. For example, let's say 1 year from now, I would love to be having, say, my relationship was struggling. 1 year from now, I want to have a great, healthy, deep connection with my partner. Great goal, but half of that is out of your control. So you would say, I'd love to be celebrating the fact that I have learned about relationships. I have done some therapy and some coaching, and I'm the best version of myself in a year from now. And I hope that that means that I've got more connection with my partner. But of course, that will mean that my partner needs to step up and do their work as well. Does that hopefully you see where I'm going with that, guy? So yeah, you've got some direction, you've got some clarity, you've even got some specific things and steps to take. But you can't be, I might say, I want to be public speaking in front of 2,000 people next year. Great. I can take those steps towards that direction, but some of those things are going to be out of my control, and that's okay. And I'll just go again and I'll go again and just keep taking those positive behaviors. There will always be a positive outcome. Okay. Your growth, your development, your lessons, your fulfillment. But if you're basing your fulfillment always on external factors that are out of your control, then you're chasing fulfillment all the time rather than being fulfilled by the energy and the focus and the dedication that you're putting into the tasks and the things you care about. Okay, almost finished. Last couple of questions, guys. I want you to think about this one, deep one. I mentioned this before. If you had 1 year to live, what would you do and how would you like to be remembered? Okay, and this all links in today, doesn't it? All these segments connect. You'll see it so often with the work. All interconnect. So 1 year to live, 1 year, 12 months. How would you like to be remembered? What would you do? What's the impact you want to leave others? Okay, it's like the best version of yourself, isn't it? What would really matter? You would take away all the clutter, all the bullshit, all the things that don't really matter, and you put it into things that truly, truly matter. You'd have that real sense of purpose, wouldn't you? Because you only knew you had 12 months to live. What's a worthwhile challenge? And you'll get some ideas now. So you basically, hopefully, by doing the work so far, you're going to get some idea to answer that, hopefully quite clearly. What's a worthwhile challenge? So for me, it's a worthwhile challenge to, I don't know, to sacrifice some work time to spend time with my daughter. It's a worthwhile challenge to learn about technology that I don't particularly like, but I'm recording this in technology now. I've had to learn to get a bit better with technology. Far from the most technical person in the world, but I've had to realize that's a worthwhile challenge because it's in line with my values, in line with my mission and purpose. And lastly, and again, this links into everything else, it's all interconnected. What is the value I want to bring to others? And what will I need to sacrifice and trade off? So I spoke a lot about my daughter today, so myself as a father. Great. Well, I want to be able to offer the value of presence and hopefully calmness where I can and stillness and connection and make room for her emotions and my partner as well and my clients. I want to be that person. That means I need to spend time working on my stuff. And that means making sacrifices with maybe other sort of work things or other friendships that no longer serve me, or just 1,000 other areas I could put my energy and focus, like everyone listening to this. We have an abundance of things to pay attention to. So I need to sacrifice this social media platform, or sacrifice, watching this or doing this or spending time there, because these areas are so important. Today was helping you get greater awareness. Okay, guys, such an important subject. I really hope you got a lot out of it. I'm sure there are lots of questions after a podcast like today, so you can send them through by using my contact details that's in the show notes. As always, love speaking to you guys. Hope you got a lot out of this, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon.